I really think that the vast majority of people are unaware of just how horrific the situation that we are in globally is right now. But to be clear, if you don't know, we are teetering on the brink of World War III. It may well be too late to prevent that from happening. And to be even clearer, World War III is nuclear, and in all likelihood, everyone dies. So we have got a situation now where Zelensky in Ukraine is using weapons and military equipment donated to him by Europe, by the UK and by the US to attack sites in Russia. Right? Up until a certain point they were simply defending the border, they were responding to Russian attacks, they were using what they'd been given defensively to try to prevent the border from being moved and Russia from invading further. Not true anymore. They're now attacking sites in Russia, and many people are quite reasonably afraid that Putin will see this as justification for offensive attacks in other countries as well. Russian state TV has been talking about what sites in Europe Putin might attack, complete with like infographics with regions lighting up, flashing lights, animation, that kind of thing. And to be totally clear, Putin has nukes. If he decides that London's gone, London is gone. It's not a question of a few bombs and, going backwards and forwards. He can wipe a whole city out if he wants to. Meanwhile, we've got a situation in the Middle East where the ICC, the judiciary part of the United Nations, has issued arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and a few others. The US, under Joe Biden, has said that they will not respect those arrest warrants and that they don't respect the authority of the ICC. Keir Starmer is prevaricating on the issue. Various other leaders seem to be going one way or the other about whether they would even enforce those arrest warrants. In a few weeks' time, Joe Biden won't be in charge of the US anymore. He will be replaced by Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has said that he wants to give much more support to Benjamin Netanyahu, which is weird because Joe Biden has been giving Netanyahu tons and tons of support without Joe Biden's and the UK's support. The Israeli offensive against the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank and the Lebanese in Beirut and around Lebanon simply wouldn't be happening. If we withdrew our support, and so did the US, the whole thing would grind to a halt in a very short amount of time. Possibly the support of Germany would need to come out as well. But instead, despite these arrest warrants, Keir Starmer is still sending military equipment to Israel, and so is the US, so is Germany. It is difficult to know what any of us can do at this point. If we all stop listening to the United Nations and respecting their decisions, then internationally there simply is no law. Like, there are also things that the United Nations have done over the years that I don't agree with. It was very much the United Nations that were behind originally saying that Israel could have that piece of land that at the time belonged to thousands and thousands and thousands of Palestinians. And I think that was the wrong decision. And to be honest, I think what's happened since then bears that out. But I don't believe that the way to solve that is through violence. The way to solve that must be to go back to the United Nations and make the case for a different set of solutions, for moving boundaries, for setting up protocols to make sure that people's lives are kept safe, to make sure that people have enough food, enough access to the things that they need, and to make sure that people who are forced to leave a region have somewhere safe to go. There isn't a magic solution that's going to make everybody happy, and that's why we have to have an organisation like the United Nations, and we have to abide by what they say and what they decide. And if we disagree with them, we have to go back and make legal arguments, because there is not one single party in any of this around the world who doesn't think that they're the good guys. Putin is not there going mwah ha ha, right? And nor is Netanyahu. None of them are. They all believe that they are the one true warrior of truth and justice. And they will all kill all of each other and all of us, unless we can convince everybody to come to this organisation, which has been specifically set up for this purpose, make their cases there and abide by the outcomes that the United Nations and the ICC come to. it is really difficult to know what we can still do to affect any kind of change, right to everybody you think might listen, politicians, world leaders, anybody. Challenge anything you see that seems to say otherwise, that seems to agree with this aggressive, escalating militarisation on all sides. And get involved with organisations who are doing something about the situation. And that in its own way is even more frightening, because Donald Trump has said that he's going to bring in laws that enable him to criminalise protest organisations if he doesn't agree with them. And we all know he'll go straight after the pro-Palestinian organisations who've been calling for an end to genocide. And in the UK, anti-terrorism laws are currently being used against people from Palestine Action who've taken peaceful actions that have stopped the manufacture of weapons by Elbit Systems and other manufacturing bases in the UK that are Israeli owned or are exporting to Israel, and being used to continue to commit genocide. They are in need of support with their legal defence and support with members of Palestine Action who've been arrested, who need support coming out of prison and being bailed and all that kind of thing. If you're able to support them in any way, I would urge you to do so, and if you're able to get involved with them somehow or another, before it quite potentially becomes entirely illegal to do so, which is a terrifying, terrifying thought, because we're getting close to the point where there isn't a way out of this. So let's do everything we can right now, while maybe, just maybe, there is. See you next week. Increasingly, the mainstream media is terrible at informing the public of what is really going on. I'm only able to make these videos because people are generous enough to sponsor me making them, and if you're able to be a part of that, I would hugely appreciate it. It can cost as little as $1 a month, and you'll get loads of fun bonus content and lots of extras from me, and my undying gratitude. I also massively appreciate it if you're able to like, share these videos and let people out there know what's going on.